Life in India revolves and evolves around food. Each festival, every occasion to celebrate means an assortment of tasty bites. And food to every Indian household means a generous use of edible oil. But do we produce enough edible oil to meet our increasing needs? The area under oilseeds in India is 35.14 million hectare with a production of 27.15 million metric tons. The productivity of oilseeds is very less. But then, with increasing population, the demand for edible oil is reaching the skies. Existing means are not able to meet this ever-increasing need. Right now, the gap between demand and supply is 4.63 million tons, and this is just the beginning of an era of shortage. What's the solution? Imports from other nations? During 2005-2006, India imported 4.28 million tons of vegetable oil. It meant a sizable spending of scarce foreign exchange. Isn't there any other way? Can't India be self-sufficient in the production of edible oil? Yes, we can, but we might have to take help of the golden palm, the oil palm. Oil palm is not just abundant in produce, it's good for health as well. Oil palm produces crude palm oil and palm kernel oil. Palm oil is rich in vitamins A, E, and is considered ideal to provide nutritional security to the developing countries. And India has the right conditions to grow it. Oil palm, a humid tropical crop, grows well under a well-distributed rainfall of 150 millimeters per month or 2,500 to 4,000 millimeters per year. In India, Kerala and Little Andaman Islands receive the required rainfall. Where rainfall distribution is not adequate, oil palm cultivation needs to be taken up with assured irrigation. The crop flourishes between temperatures of 22 degrees to 33 degrees Celsius. Crop under good irrigation and management conditions can sustain high temperature and give a good yield. Oil palm requires bright sunlight for at least 5 hours per day. The best altitude to grow this crop lies up to 450 to 900 meters above mean sea level with high relative humidity of more than 80%. It grows well in all types of soils. Best suited soils are moist, well-drained, deep, loamy alluvial soils rich in organic matter with good water permeability. Highly alkaline, saline soils, soils with pH more than 8.5, waterlogged and coastal sandy soils need to be avoided. The oil palm hybrid Tenera is only used for commercial cultivation. Tenera is a cross between thick-shelled Dura, which is the female parent, and shell-less Piscifera, the male parent. Tenera has a thin shell, medium to high mesocarp content and high oil content. A nursery can be raised either by single stage or double stage. In a single stage nursery, bags are filled with topsoil and compost. The bags are arranged at a spacing of 45 centimeters and one germinated sprout per bag is dibbled. Good mulching during summer is desirable in nursery bags and shade must be provided by keeping palmyra leaves. The seedlings must be watered daily, either by sprinkler irrigation or by rose can. Recommended fertilizers must be applied at specified intervals. In case of double-stage nursery, the sprouts are dibbled in small-sized polythene bags. Shading is provided by keeping palmyra leaves. After 3 months, these are transferred to bigger polythene bags and arranged at a spacing of 90 centimeters in a triangular fashion so as to accommodate more plants. A good mulch in a poly bag at the base of the seedling during summer is desirable to conserve moisture. Care must be taken to give irrigation either by sprinkler or rose can or drip. Wind breaks around the nursery are also desirable. Field must be thoroughly leveled before taking up the planting. Triangular method of planting must be followed with 9-meter spacing. This method could accommodate 57 plants per acre or 143 plants per hectare. Prior to planting, pits are dug and then they are allowed to season. The best pits have 60 centimeter length, 60 centimeter width and 60 centimeter depth. Digging the pits with the help of post-hole digger will save labor and time. It will dig the pit within 2 to 3 minutes. The seedlings ideal for transplanting are 12 to 14-month-old healthy seedlings having 1 to 1.3 meter height and 13 functional leaves with good girth at collar. The seedlings should be transported to the planting site only at the time of planting. Apply 400 grams of single superphosphate or 250 grams of DAP or 250 grams of rock phosphate, 50 grams of phorate and 1 basketful of farmyard manure and mix with half of the soil at the base of the pit. The poly bag should be removed by making longitudinal cut and putting the seedling in a pit along with the soil. The gap in the pit should be filled with the remaining half of the soil and pressed firmly, leaving the top portion so that the seedling bowl will be 25 centimeter below the ground level. Soon after planting, form a basin around the plant and give copious irrigation. Planting can be done in any season, but the best period is June to December. In case planting is being done during summer, adequate irrigation, mulching and growing cover crops like sun hemp in the basin would help to overcome the heat. For a healthy growth, maximum number of green leaves should be retained on the palm. Lower dried and diseased leaves should be pruned. Severe pruning is never recommended as it will adversely affect the growth and yield of oil palm. During the first year, 1 meter radius basin to be taken around the palm by removing the soil from the inside so that the soil will not accumulate at the collar region. Basins must be widened to 2 meters radius during the second year and 3 meters from the third year onwards. Basin area of oil palm represents active root zone. Hence, it must be kept clean and weed-free to avoid competition for nutrients and water. Regular weeding must be done either manually or through the use of herbicides like glyphosate at the rate of 1.5 milliliters per liter of water. Mulching, growing cover crops and intercrops minimize weed growth and help to conserve moisture. Oil palm is a fast-growing crop with high productivity and biomass production. Hence, it requires sufficient irrigation. Oil palm cultivation is not recommended if assured and adequate irrigation facility is not available. Insufficient irrigation leads to more unopened spindles resulting in reduced leaf production. It also decreases sex ratio, abortion of the inflorescence and reduction in yield. For grown-up yielding palms of 3 years age and above, a minimum of 200 to 250 liters of water per day is required. However, in older plantations, during hot summer, this amount may be increased up to 300 to 350 liters. When water is not a constraint, basin irrigation can be taken up. Irrigation channels are prepared in such a way that the individual palms are connected separately by sub-channels. However, the amount of water required will be twice that of micro-irrigation. If irrigation water is limited or land is of undulated terrain, drip or micro-sprinkler irrigation can be adopted. In the drip system, 4 drippers have to be placed for each palm. If each dripper discharges 8 liters of water per hour, 6 to 7 hours of irrigation per day is sufficient. Drippers should be checked periodically for proper discharge of water. In the micro-sprinkler system, 2 jets have to be placed on either side of the palm. If each jet discharges 40 liters of water per hour, 2 to 3 hours of irrigation per day is sufficient. During summer, the amount of irrigation may be increased based on the soil and climatic conditions. However, running irrigation channels along the palm rows is not recommended. Mulching of oil palms basin is essential to conserve moisture as well as to control weeds. Mulching can be done by using empty oil palm bunches, dried oil palm leaves or any other materials like coconut leaves, coconut husk, grass, sugarcane trash and chopped maize stalk. In grown-up plantations, all the cut leaves of oil palm can be heaped in between the 2 rows of oil palm, which act as a mulch. Oil palm is a grass feeder and demands a balanced and adequate supply of macro and micronutrients for growth and yield. For newly planted crop, the first dose of fertilizer can be applied 3 months after planting. The recommended dose of fertilizers can be applied in the form of straight or complex form depending on their nutrient contents. 870 grams of urea, 1250 grams single superphosphate, 670 grams muriate of potash and 125 grams of magnesium sulfate in the first year, 1740 grams of urea, 2500 grams of single superphosphate, 1333 grams muriate of potash and 250 grams of magnesium sulfate in the second year, 2610 grams of urea, 3750 grams of single superphosphate, 2000 grams muriate of potash and 500 grams of magnesium sulfate need to be applied from the third year onwards. Borax at the rate of 100 grams per palm per year is recommended only when deficiency symptoms are noticed. Fertilizers are to be applied in 4 equal split doses. 50 to 100 kg farmyard manure or 100 kg green manure per palm along with the second dose of fertilizer application is recommended. 5 kg of neem cake per palm can also be applied. However, when organic manures are applied adequately, the amount of chemical fertilizer for nitrogen should be proportionately decreased. The fertilizers are broadcasted around the clean weeded basin, about 50 centimeters away from the palm base near the absorbing roots. Incorporate fertilizer into the soil by using forks. The palms should be irrigated immediately after fertilizer application. Magnesium deficiency in oil palm occurs in the form of orange frond and is found on the older fronds of the palm. 2 kilograms of magnesium sulfate per plant per year is recommended to overcome it, followed by soil and leaf nutrient analysis. Symptoms of boron deficiency are hooked leaf and fishbone leaf on the younger leaves, which are easily identified in the field. Borax at the rate of 100 grams per plant per year is recommended, followed by soil and leaf nutrient analysis. Symptoms of nitrogen and potash imbalance are seen as white stripes on pinnae of young fronds. Application of 3 kilograms of murate of potash per palm per year and temporarily suspending application of urea, followed by soil and leaf nutrient analysis. Potash deficiency symptoms are seen in the form of confluent orange spotting on older palm fronds. Application of 3 kg murate of potash, followed by soil and leaf nutrient analysis. Growing sun hemp as a green manure crop in the basins of young oil palm provides a better microenvironment to the crop during summer, fixes atmospheric nitrogen and adds organic matter to the soil. Sun hemp plants come to flowering in 60 to 65 days. At this stage, plants are cut and incorporated in the palm basins. This practice helps in soil and water conservation and checks weed growth. Cover cropping also enriches soil with organic matter. When leguminous cover crops are incorporated, atmospheric nitrogen is fixed and improves plant nutrient status. The most common cover crops that can establish well in oil palm plantations are Puraria, Galapagonium, Centrosema, Mimosa and Mucuna species. Oil palm is a wide-spaced perennial crop with a juvenile period of 3 years. A lot of horizontal and vertical space above and below the ground is available. This space can be used to generate income by growing intercrops during the juvenile phase of the crop. Crop selected for intercropping should be compatible with the main crop and should not compete with the oil palm for light, water and nutrients. Crops like vegetables, banana, tobacco, chilies, turmeric, etc. can be grown. In case of maize, sorghum and sugarcane, sufficient space should be given to avoid shade on oil palm. While growing oil seeds like groundnut, gingerly, and pulses like green gram, black gram, cowpea, which do not require frequent irrigation, oil palm should be irrigated regularly so that the oil palm does not suffer from lack of water. While raising intercrops, tying or cutting of oil palm fronds should be avoided because this will reduce photosynthetic activity.